I say this a lot, and it's really not like, I'm really not saying this to patronize anybody. I really do mean it with all my heart and soul because I appreciate you guys. Like, your Billy needs work is the name of this clip, but like, you need work right now. Right now. These things are temporary. Everything that I ever criticize or give you advice on are all things you can change. These things are temporary, and that's not even just like a TBD thing. This is a life thing. Like, if you're bad at a skill or a specific game or, you know, at a specific class in college or like whatever you want to call it, anything that you have to learn and improve at, bad states of play are temporary. Bad states of play are temporary. You know, this person, Chameleon, has approximately 80 hours. 80 hours in the game. Very, very, very new. Very, very, very new. There was a time in my career where I did the exact same things. I made all the same mistakes that I'm going to see in this video. And I have 4.3k hours. ATTRIBUTION made these mistakes at some point. ATTRIBUTION made these mistakes at some point. Scott Jund made these mistakes at some point. People that have thousands of hours known for playing the game all made these mistakes at some point. And it may not have been the same saying, but that's because at some point, to themselves, they said, okay, this is temporary. They may not have said, oh, I need work right now. Use the right now analogy, that little jingle that I like to say. Yeah, you suck right now. They may not have said that to themselves, but there was something in their head that said, this is temporary. I can work this out. And now they're, you know, very, very accomplished, very, very good killer players, right? Because they didn't let it get in their head, the mistakes that they're making, and they realized that it was temporary. So you should always keep that in mind, especially in these situations where I'm like actively going, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. It's not from a place of malice or condescension. It's a temporary thing that needs a temporary fix. Or not a temporary fix. It's a temporary thing that you can fix, and then it will no longer be a problem. Just temporary. The pain is temporary. Focusing on other stuff, yeah, feathering's hard. Feathering's hard, but it is required. Feathering is hard, but it is required if you're gonna play Billy. Also, talking about this, back to this, like with Chameleon, you're in this situation. You are in Larry's, which is one of Billy's worst maps, probably his worst map in the game. I'm trying to think besides just generally obnoxious survivor maps like Adam. Like, Billy and all insta-down killers suffer with windows. Suffer with windows. Insta-down killers don't do well with windows. Billy, Bubba, Oni, windows are kind of like how they suffer a lot with windows. And Larry's has a lot of windows everywhere. A lot of window vaults in a lot of their rooms. And also walls everywhere. You obviously, like Bubba, Billy, Oni, you run the risk of just bonking off everything, and there's literally walls everywhere. Literally walls everywhere. So, like, there's going to be a lot that probably happens here that's Larry's fault, not yours. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because, like, I would still suffer on this map. Well, you know, that's not a guarantee. Like, I can probably still do fairly okay. But, like, you're starting off with a debuff essentially, because this map is so terrible for this character. So terrible for this character. Let's go ahead and get into the match itself. McMillan Billy is strong. Probably, it's probably my second favorite cosmetic on him. I like Pig Billy the most, but McMillan Billy's great. Okay, looking at your perks, if you're learning Billy, I said this in a different video, but I'll say it here again quickly. You're looking to learn Billy, you should be at least running one Doom Engraving, because if you want consistent results on Billy, you should be running at least one Doom Engraving, because usually if you want consistent results, it's Doom Engraving, Low Pro, Doom Engraving, Tunes, Doom Engraving, Yellow. Like, Doom Engraving something, so you should be running at least one Doom Engraving. Just to get used to it, because you're probably going to be running it for the rest of your because Chameleon said that they were hoping to make Hillbilly their main. So I'm telling you right now, as somebody who's secondary to the character, definitely be running at least one green engraving. Your build is honestly fine besides make your choice, but you know, seeing that banana perk, seeing that yellow perk tells me you probably don't have a lot of perks on him. So info perk, you have 2 info perks. Enduring is a good pick. So, like, these are okay. It's just, you know, as you get more perks, I would probably put on maybe one slowdown, like Deadlock, and then something else. So you have whispers, so you know somebody's nearby, but it's an indoor map, so it's gonna be hard to get value out of that whispers. Because they could be hiding literally anywhere. Why that person's faulting my window, I do not know. Eruption's still worth running? I run a pop eruption on some characters. I run pop eruption on some characters. So in this situation, you have him right here in front of you. This is something that's important not only on Billy. So this is gonna be a fun takeaway. Is that this is important on Billy, but on characters in general, just playing the game as killer, but especially more important on Billy because you have an insta down ability, is position yourself in a way that you cut off their access to a resource, or what a lot of people will call body blocking. So you're in this situation where you have control of the pallet right now. You are standing right below the pallet, right? Like you're standing right in the pallet right now. Ace has nothing to work with. he's just stuck out here like, oh no, oh no. So I would just you start revving, but I would rev here and maintain control of this pallet. Because essentially what he does is he ends up just walking by you because you leave your control of the pallet. You leave your control of the pallet. You leave it behind. So he just walks by you and goes back to the pallet. You could have just stood there and either forced him out the window or, you know, got the chainsaw. You were probably going to get the chainsaw because he bumped into the counter because he was probably scared. So you probably would have got the M2 down here. But you need to, like, kind of, not even just a Billy thing, but like a killer thing is like, don't let them rotate back to the pallet if you can help it, especially if you have control of the pallet. Like just you know, it's like basketball. You're like, oh, you can't get over here. You know, like obviously it's a little bit more effective on characters like Bubba and Billy. You can just instant down you for it. Obviously there's other examples like Wraith. You can, with your Windstorm, you can slide up there really quickly and body block a pallet. But yeah, don't give people free access to pallets if you're body blocking them, because pallet control is super important in DBD. You won't let them have that for free. See, like, this is what I'm talking about. It's like a window into a window into a window. Larry's is very rough for instant down killers. Very good. Okay, I got one pallet out of that. I'm just gonna chase somebody else. Very good. She is so vibrant in that bit. Yeah, they're just dropping too. We're getting a lot of resources out of the way, though. It's just nice. She is just throwing everything, which is a very bad use of resources. Well, that's unfortunate. There's a lot of stuff you're doing that I'm just gonna omit because you're still learning at 8 hours. You're still learning how the game works, like physically, like how it feels to play it. So I'm just not gonna mention a lot of the stuff like weird pathing or stuff like that, because like, you know, you'll get used to that. You'll get used to that. Only 80 hours. You're not gonna be able to. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes just because you don't know the feel of the game yet. She did kind of blend in there. She was wearing like that off yellow shirt against the off yellow wall. Good. I like how you're already like willing to just use your M1 a lot. Obviously, don't overdo it like we mentioned in the last match, but I like that that's something you already don't have qualms about doing. Because truly, Billy is a mix of both. People get way too caught up in doing like M2 only. Where did they run and then start walking? That was confusing. That wasn't you. The scratch marks led right up to the locker and then stopped. So I guess they just ran up to it and then, you know, walked away. Which is weird. But again, at these hours, like, at this hour, this is why I asked for hours, because at these hours, like, essentially anything goes. Like, you could run into people doing, like, the weirdest, most wild things. Because it's kind of just everybody's first impressions of how they play, you know? Not really a whole lot in the way of, like, solid game philosophy or anything. If you're looking around for people on Whispers right now, I'm going to tell you right now that Whispers counts the person on the hook. Hopefully you know that, but if you didn't know that, whispers counts the person that's actively on hook as well. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. I think whispers in general teaches a bad habit. Because whispers, is more of like an old school kind of DBD perk because it used to be a very, very, very good like tracking perk. Now we have plenty of great tracking perks. I think whispers teaches a bad habit that a lot of players do is time in DBD is gen time. Match time is gen time. So what I see a lot of players do when they use whispers, especially if they're newer, is they'll hear whispers click on and then they're just like very, very like fervently just like top to bottom must search this entire area and find this one person. And like the problem is you don't know how good that person is in immersing. You don't know how good this survivor is at immersing, and they could just completely just like you could like still not find them. Or if you do find them, it takes you like 20-30 seconds. And that's even before chase even starts. You know what I'm saying? That's a time sink. And I think what I see a lot of good players do, and it's something that I've had to learn, is like it sucks to say, but sometimes you know where somebody is and you don't have the time to look for them. You just don't. You need to go be out there pressuring gens. You need to be out there starting a chase as quick as possible. And I think whispers kind of encourages a bad habit that like to invest that time to find that one person that's inside your whispers. When good players know that like, okay, well somebody is immersing over here, but like I need to go where I know for sure someone is because I can't waste that time. So don't invest too much in finding everybody when whispers is on, because sometimes you just got to cut your losses in terms of time and just find somebody else. I think she was either in that corner or the other side of the wall. Interesting, they have 80 hours, so they're fairly new, and they don't have the character leveled up at Double Blank. Yeah, because you're like searching around for people, but you don't know where they are. But like you've spent so much time searching around for people that like you've wasted so much time. I think it's gonna be one of your main takeaways. Like cut your like even if you like have an inkling that somebody's around, don't waste so much time looking for them. Because that's why that gen popped. Because like they were on that gen theoretically the whole time that you were over there like checking your whispers and looking around this whole time. Like, they were on that gen the whole time, which is why that gen popped. It's because all that time, all that match time was gen time. All that match time was gen time that you were just kind of, like, looking around and hoping you'd find somebody in your whispers. That's the proof to my point. Okay. In this situation, if somebody hops in a locker against you as Billy, do exactly what you did, where you just kind of like generally just gently let your chainsaw go down, but stand right up against the locker. That way, when he walks out like that, it's a grab. When you M1, stand right up against it. That way, when they get out, it's a grab and not a hit. Luckily, this guy is not doing too hot, so you get him anyway. But yeah, stand right up against that. That way it's a grab. It will be the grab the first time. Weapon's massive? Yeah, I don't like it. He was right there. That's just tracking, though. Using your... Yeah, this is why I don't use that weapon. It's just huge. Whispers is Terriers? No. It's a set range. It's not your Terriers, no. Dude, you imagine Whispers on King Wesker, you have no idea where anybody is. If it worked that way, if it worked that way with Wesker, you'd just be like, ah, they're somewhere on this half of the entire map. That'd be so funny. I would pick him up. Yeah. You don't know where anybody else is to slug? You don't know where anybody else is to slug. So there's no reason to slug. Yeah, slugging you do if there's, you know, for a fact somebody's right next to you and you can go after them. You saw her. There you go. In this scenario, when you know that there's a survivor in your match that likes to do nothing but pre-drop, like she does, you're in a situation where you have a choice, right? Like, you can chase her, but you know for a fact that, like we're talking about, match time, shin time, you know for a fact that this Fong Min, her whole, she's just a time sink. There's no other way to put it. She's just a time sink. Because she's just going to pre-drop everything in your face, and if you're not at a point where you can circumvent somebody pre-dropping you, because it's just very strong and very safe, you got to understand, you got to look at her and be like, hey, she is a waste of time. Not the person behind the screen. Make that clear. But like, she is going to waste a lot of your time because she's just going to pre-throw every pallet. So even though you have a survivor and you want to chase her, sometimes it's better to find somebody else, because the way a specific player plays can be so like sweaty and time intensive to chase that it's just not worth it. It's literally just not worth it. And with her, I would say, in your case, you're at 2 gens, you need somebody dead, and she's just going to pre-drop every pallet along the way. I would just leave her alone. I'd just leave her alone. Yeah, but like, you said it was tied to terrorists. It's not tied to terrorists. It is that set range, regardless of, regardless of the character's terrorists that you're using. Yeah, good. You do leave her. Good. You left her a little late, but you got it. You got it eventually. Which is funny. You say you only have 80 hours. I'll see players do that, like, after and chainsaw. Scovid, I appreciate your help, but this guy has 80 hours. You're expecting things out of them that they're not going to be able to do. I'm trying to tell them things that, like, are expected of their hours. I'm like, bro, why aren't you curving every single you could have curved there. You could have S-curved and got him. Like, they're not there yet. They're still trying to figure out how the game works. And you feel like, bro, you didn't fuck trap chainsaw this guy. Like, they're not there yet. Okay. I will say in that loop, I see you've done this with quite a few of your situations, is you'll lose people mid-loop. You got to think about, where are they going? Where do they want to be? Because you're having a hard time kind of tracking people, which is natural if you only have 80 hours in the game. You got to think about, where do they want to be? Where do they want to go? So right here, you're looping him around this pallet. So realistically, he's going to keep hugging the pallet. If you check this window, but you would hear him if he vaulted the window. Even if he only slow vaults, you will hear him grunt as he's going over it. You have an audio cue for that. So really all you have to pay attention to is this pallet over here. All you have to pay attention is pallet over here, which is where he ends up being. So try to think of where the survivor's wanting to go and what they're trying to reach, instead of just tracking them roguely. Because if you just try to track them just only through scratch marks, you're going to be confused every single time. But if you try to think about, like, what are they trying to reach? Where are they trying to go? It's going to be a lot easier for you. It's going to be a lot easier for you. Good. Again. Yes. Prioritize the guys on death. Good. Good. When you're gonna go for a chainsaw on somebody out in the open, similarly to how you were chainsawing him outside the locker earlier for a grab, you want to be as close to them as possible. There's no reason to back up besides just like being scared that they'll juke left and right. You want to be up on top of them when you're doing that. You want to be up on top of them. That's called back revving. You want to back rev them. You want to be right on their back, hence the name. You want to be right on their back when you're doing that. That way they can't move out of the way. Oh, she was... Okay, now I'll bring that up, yeah. So she ran into a shower stall. She was stuck. She was stuck. She was stuck here. You should have just turned, body blocked her in the shower stall, and then let your chainsaw go. You let her out for free. Just like earlier where you let the ace away from the pallet for free, you let her out of literally a corner with nothing to do. You could have just chainsawed her here, but you just let her go. Almost. You almost had it. Like, you had the right idea, because like I said, you got really, really close to her. You just kind of like hesitated and backed up a little at the very end. Same thing. Oh, wow. You were actually close enough for that. I'm actually shocked. You were actually close enough for that. Okay, you need to find Ace, because Ace is dead. You can get him out of the game. Need somebody dead soon. Perfect. Why is he trying to... Okay, in there, like... in this situation, if Survivor turns around and starts to try... Like, first off, you get a notification. Like, your screen starts to, like, brighten, and you actually hear a noise notification when you're starting to get blinded. He's not even doing that yet. So there's no reason for you to look away. And even then, he's right in front of you. So just, like, go for it, right? Like, he's right in front of you. You can't go anywhere else. So don't be afraid of that. Good. Good, good. Do not slug here. Do not slug here. Yeah, just... Okay. I would just kill your boy. I would maybe have taken an M1 there, just to apply a little bit of pressure, but otherwise I'll just pick him up. Yeah. Because you need somebody dead. You need somebody dead. Okay. Now the game becomes a lot easier for you. Now you only have to worry about 3 people instead of 4. Because if you slug badly, like I slug him and you don't get another down and they just pick him back up, you're back to square one. Slugging's the most effective when you can get quick downs. And if you don't think you can do that, whether that be the map or your own skill, like, slugging can actually hurt you. The one time she doesn't pre-drop is probably the time it would have been the safest to do so. Bless her heart. Bless her heart. What are you doing here? Pick her up. There you go. Okay. Is it you have a hard time tracking people, but we talked about that already. That'll probably be one of your main takeaways. Because you're not thinking of where these people would possibly be going. You're just trying to like look at exactly where the scratch marks are going. So that's making you like have a hard time figuring out what to do. Because you're not thinking of where they could possibly be going. You're just kind of like, me see scratch marks, me follow scratch marks. You're like a bloodhound. You're sniffing around on the floor and you're not even looking up, right? You need to actually like predict where they're gonna be, and that's not that anybody can do that. Anybody of any player level can go, there's a window ahead. She's probably gonna go towards the window. There's a pallet over there. She's probably going to the pallet, right? You gotta do that. Because that's why you're losing people so much. Yeah, the main reason you keep losing these chainsaws is actually not because of the map at all. It's because you, Fun fact, when you get enduring stun like that and you end up on the same side, you can actually turn around and hit them. Because your enduring stun is so quick that you can actually M1 them before they get to the other side. So just turn around and M1 them when you get stunned with enduring. It's very funny. Yeah, that's why you're on hard time tracking people, so you're not thinking where they're at. He would have been fine there. Just didn't think that. See, like why would she be over there by the other set of chairs where there's quite literally zero resources for her to use? Like, why would she go over there? That's death for her. She doesn't get anything out of that besides the L, right? Of course she's gonna keep hugging the pallet because it's her safe haven. It's her place of safety. There's no reason to check over there unless for some reason you visually see her do it, right? That's just autoing. That sucks. Yeah, see, look. Case in point. When she runs over here, there's nothing. There's quite literally nothing. There's nothing for her to use. So, it doesn't make sense for her to go over here. She thought she could make it because she you know. If you want to avoid this, turn around and don't face the window. Yeah, you don't have to face the survivor to pick them up. You can pick them up from any angle. So just stand there, spin around, and then do it. Good, she'll be a death hook when she comes off it. It's always good that if you don't know where anybody is to go back to hook. I know people back to Andy's get a bad rap, but like if you don't know where else to go, what else are you supposed to do? I would have hit her. I know he's make your choice, but like she's death hook. You should slug. Yeah, this would be a good time to slug, because she's death hook, so you could kill her, get her out of the game entirely. So you should do a slug there. You're not gonna make that hook. You're not gonna make this one. It's gonna be very close if you do. Yeah, you're not gonna make that. You should have went to that closer hook. Always prioritize the closest hook. Never try to take a move for a hook. You don't even have pain res or anything like that, so there's really no benefit to taking him to a further away hook. Even if like Thalita decided to like, you know, body block or something, she would be down and have nothing to speak for it. Fun little tiny thing. Basement was right there. Whenever you kill someone, like you 3-hook them, the hook that they get sacrificed on breaks and disappears, which will result in more situations like that where the survivors will go out. But basement hooks never disappear. So always prioritize putting a death hook gamer in the basement if it's convenient, because it'll save you a hook. Other than it will go out later. Good that you hear him there. There he is. You look right at him. You literally looked directly at him. Did you not see him? You saw his blood and then you saw him run away. You looked dead at him and didn't see him. I'll pay more attention. You looked straight at him. She's in the locker. Yeah. Because she doesn't know how loud she is in there. Weird. There's no reason to chainsaw him. Chainsaw's an instant down ability, and he's already injured. Just M1 him. There you go. You actually 4K this? No way. No way. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is about what I expected because they're new as well. If you're at 8 hours, they're probably very, very new as well. Yeah, I about expected that. No crazy meta perks, no anything. Even if they do have good perks, they're like not fully leveled up. So main takeaways are pretty clear for you because you don't have to worry about a lot of like the deeper stuff of the game because you're still learning. So I'm not going to comment on, like, there's little stuff like, hey, if you want to chainsaw somebody, you know, get close to them first. You're not curving or anything, so don't do that sort of thing. What I do want to say, in terms of your takeaways, is there's a lot of, like, fundamental stuff that, like, you don't have in place yet. Like, there's a lot of fundamental things that, like, were nothing to do with Billy. Because I thought when I was watching this, and I saw, like, Larry, so I was like, oh, God. Or, you know, just like the map's gonna work against you, or, you know, the character's gonna work against you. Like, I was like, okay, well, this is gonna be bad. But there's actually a lot of fundamental stuff that you just need under your belt first that'll help you not only on Billy, but every character. And that's what I'm probably gonna focus on here. So your first takeaway, obviously, like I brought this up during the Whispers conversation, sometimes looking for a survivor is a time waster. Well, that sounds weird because you're like, well, of course I'd be looking for the survivor. I need somebody to chase and somebody to down. But like how I say every chase in Dead by Daylight needs to be 30 or 40 seconds, the reason I say that is because match time in DBD is gen time. That's wasted time if your chases are going on too long. But I would say the same thing applies to searching for a survivor for too long. If you're searching for a survivor and that does start getting up there in like the 20-30 second range, that's a lot of time. That's gen time. Match time's gen time. If you're searching for a survivor for like 20 plus seconds, that's a long time to be literally applying zero pressure to the map and doing nothing. So if you're having a hard time finding a survivor, even if you like know they're there for some reason, it doesn't have to be whispers that's telling you. It could be like you saw a scratch mark, or you know, you saw a blood stain or something like really quickly. If you can't find them for like 20 plus seconds, that's a waste of time. That's a waste of time. You gotta go where you gotta go check your gens. You gotta go where you knew somebody would probably be. You gotta go back to Hook. You gotta go where somebody is most likely to be. Because even if you know that person's there, you're clearly not finding them. And this is something that it's not even just the fact that you're new. I see a lot of killers do this way into like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. I'll even see 1K hour plus Andys do this, where they'll just like they know a survivor's nearby and they'll just like search every locker and check every corner, and then they end up like going like, oh my god, they're gen rushing me. It's like, no, you just spent like 40 seconds looking around and didn't find the person you were looking for. So they did the gens while you were going, oh, where Boba Fett, where, you know, like, just that's a waste of time. That is a waste of time. The second takeaway, and also equally important, is your tracking is fairly poor, as it should be at 80 hours. You are brand new to the game, essentially. Your tracking probably should suck. That's nothing you've done wrong. It's just tracking's weird in this game. And if you're brand new, it's even weirder. Biggest tip I can use to help you with that is, it seems to me that you kind of just like follow scratch marks and sounds very directly. You're like, if I see scratch mark here, I go to scratch mark. If I hear something, I'm going straight to it. Think about where they're wanting to go, and you're gonna have your life just it's gonna change your life. Things are gonna look so much better. Don't think about, oh well, scratch marks are here, I need to keep following the scratch marks until he's visually on my screen. Think about, okay, well, the scratch marks seem to be leading this direction. I know there's a pallet right there, so he's probably gonna run to the pallet. So just head towards the pallet. And you'll be like, oh, okay, well, he's camping the pallet or he's about to loot this tile. Makes sense. Same thing if there's like a window. You're like, I know there's a window vault over there. So I see scratch marks going that direction. Odds are he's going to the window vault. So try to predict where survivors are going. Because right now it seems, like I said, it seems like you're losing survivors because you're tracking them up until the point you physically see them, and that's the only time that you feel confident chasing them. But realistically, you know where they're going. If it, like that Ash at this almost this exact loop that I paused on, like there's a pallet at that little hospital bed loop, so he's probably running around the loop and hugging the pallet. So you should have made that assumption and not gotten confused there. But now that you know, that's going to help you a lot. It's going to help you a lot. Think about where they're going, not just where they physically are according to their scratch marks. But those are like the two main things I would say. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of complicated Billy stuff that's not that you're not ready for, but like you're still learning the foundation of the game right now. So telling you like, hey, you need to curve, you need to hook curve, and telling you all that stuff, like you're still figuring out how the game works for the most part. So that stuff is not really going to come into play in terms of Billy specific stuff. Like I said, when you're back revving, literally back rev. If you're trying to chain somebody, get really close to them. Obviously, if you have opportunities like with that Fong where she was in a shower stall, block her in and chainsaw her. You don't have to let her go. Try to maintain control of the pallet positionally. Like if you are on the pallet side, stay on the pallet side. It's just small stuff like that. Nothing notable of its own like takeaway. Yeah, that's the best advice I have for you on that.